In a world where bullies rule.
Hey, look at the bee.
Hey, buy us no.
Hey, Ballboy, thanks now. Stop calling me names.
And monsters lurk. And storms rage. One man, $1 dares to stand and fight. You know his name.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose.
Hello and welcome to Cinema Craptaculus, where we say a bad Christmas special is just as hard to make as a good one, just a lot easier to make fun of. This is Dave, and with me are my merry, uncrappy co-hosts,
Stephanie,
John.
Tonight, we're taking a sleigh ride up to the North Pole for the origin story of Santa's original superhero, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and his heretofore unknown sidekick, Hermey the Dentist Elf.
Did you really just say heretofore?
I did, and I believe I spelled it right, too.
congratulations.
Thank you.
So Merry Christmas for us all.
Here's the rapid recap to get you caught up.
Rapid recap!
You think you know the story from the song, but you really don't. Bullied and ostracized by his reindeer brethren, Rudolph and Cornelius, the man with a nose for gold, literally.
Chased to the island of Misfit Toys by the Abominable Snowman, who followed Rudolph's glowing nose, Rudolph realizes he has to go out on his own in order to protect his friends. Somehow, they all end up in the Abominable Snowman's cave. So Hermey rips out all of the Abominable Snowman's teeth, rendering him helpless and pretty much only useful for putting stars on top of tall Christmas trees.
And when they all return to Santa's workshop, they are greeted with meh-ness. As there's a bigger problem. Christmas is going to be canceled because of the oncoming storm. Luckily, Rudolph, with his nose so bright, will guide Santa's sleigh that night. And now everyone loves Rudolph. As far as we know, no one likes Hermey, because Hermey is a dentist. I wish his name was Hermes. I don't know why.
It's because it's a weird, like, who calls somebody Hermey? What is it short for?
I think his name was Herbie, and I think the voice actor who first says the name, Hermey, I think he just messed it up, and they just left it in. He's Hermey.
That's really funny, because I found a lot of old material that was not cut out, but it was like a BTS thing.
Oh.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
So this is like actual archive stuff, not even on the DVDs and Blu-rays?
Yes. It's archive stuff. Archive footage would have been a better way for me to say it. But yeah, no, this is pretty spectacular stuff. Let's take a listen.
What is it like working with Rudolph? Well, let me put it this way. He's been in his trailer for over 2 hours. How long does it take to put red on your nose?
Well, this has been quite a production. I sure am enjoying the weather on this shoot.
I'm enjoying playing Hermey the Elf very much, but I have to say that it's been really cold. Whose idea was it to shoot in 72 degrees below zero?
Well, I think it's a bit of an exaggeration. We've only lost 3 reindeer due to cold exposure.
I'm thinking of writing a letter to CBS over the treatment of the reindeer. Although the female reindeer seem to be doing fine, they keep going into Rudolph's trailer for hours at a time.
I guess you could say there's a little bit of typecasting on this show. I mean, I played a magical toy on an episode of Bewitched. Some of these kids get in my face and I'm gonna drop them. There's a line I say, fumbles bounce, but you know what doesn't bounce? Snot-nosed beatnik Juilliard graduate actors. I don't want to name names, but I think some of my co-stars have been drinking on set. Everyone knows that Yukon Cornelius's flask is, well, for medicinal purposes. Nothing.
That was quite a lot of information. I did not know that.
Wow, that was crazy.
That's pretty informative, huh? I told you guys.
Wow.
High quality for something that was 50 some odd years ago.
So how old is this show?
This was from 1964.
Oh.
So yeah, like we're talking ancient times. For all our younger listeners, the people who are like maybe
Ancient
41.
times was 10 years ago.
I think it's interesting that when you think about it, this movie, I'm going to be calling it a movie throughout the podcast, so
It's a movie, it's an hour.
Get used to that. I think it's interesting that they did for Rudolph what they did for the Grinch, was basically they took the song and said, oh, this is the third act of the movie, just like they did with the Grinch, where it was Jim Carrey's The Grinch, where they go, You know what? The book is the third act of this much larger story.
Oh, you're talking about the live-action Grinch.
Yeah, I'm talking about the live action.
I don't talk about that movie. That movie doesn't exist to me.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Your heart's an empty hole. You're a reindeer. Here's your motivation.
How could you not like the Grinch?
I saw it in the theater in the year 2000, and I was like, nope.
There was no reason to make that movie other than Universal wanted an attraction at the parks, Carrie wanted another check, and the best way to do that is have a Christmas project, because they'll play it every year.
Well, the thing about Rudolph, which is the movie we're talking about, that I love, I actually love Rudolph. I've been watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer since I was a child, so since 2008. And it's been one of those staples in my family. We watch it every year, and it only became like more recent that I went back to it. Like I used to watch it all the time as a child, and I went back to it only as an adult recently. And looking at it, there's a lot of things that are very dated and
a lot of things stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hashtag reindeer too.
There's a lot of all kinds of things.
Hashtag time's up Santa. Well, I kind of felt like, look, can we talk for a second about how one of the biggest things to me was like, there were not any responsible adults in this entire movie. Like none of the adult characters that Rudolph encountered were at all good role models or helpful in any way. In fact, when he's out with his like doing reindeer games or like his flight training or whatever, his instructor is like, Rudolph is different, everyone. Let's never talk to him anymore. He literally tells the children, we got to ostracize this dude now.
Well, and the show strays from the source material. The song says all of the other reindeer, doesn't say their ages, but you're kind of assuming like his peers, his classmates said, used to laugh and call his names because that's what classmates do. But in the show or movie, we're calling it, it's the adult. It's the coach. He's the one that ostracizes him and sets the tone for all the younger deer to hate him.
Oh, no, not you. You better go home with your folks.
Even earlier, Santa sets that tone right away. When he sees the red nose glowing, Comet, is it Comet the dad? No.
Oh, Donner's his dad.
Donner's the dad. Donner says, I'm sure it will stop. And Santa's like,
well, let's hope so if he wants to make the sleigh team someday.
And it's like, Santa, what are you talking about? Like, what is wrong with...
Why are you so full of hate, Santa?
Well, it also sets up this weird sort of rite of passage. For me... And for most people, you assume that these reindeer, like Santa, are immortal. Because they don't come up with new names, but you're going to grow up and who's he going to replace? Like
Donner?
Yeah,
the dick?
Does Blitzen, does he age out?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it could be that they either get eaten by the Abominable Snowman or like Santa is his massive, like he wants this massive train of reindeer. He's amassing
it's like
a
the
fortress.
Human centipede. It's the reindeer centipede.
Dave, you took this in a very poor place.
I was thinking, like a phalanx of flying reindeer, like so that no one will, if they look skyward, they cower.
Or it's like the Dread Pirate Roberts, where different reindeer just take on the names of the reindeer.
Next generation.
The next generation. And then they eat the old reindeer.
You mean like Santa does to get fat.
Maybe he just wants a deep bench.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I also think I like Dave's idea of them eating the reindeer, like because so every time we saw Mrs. Claus telling Santa to eat, it was
so
like we're eating Donner 1 and Blitzen 3, like we're eating exactly. Prior generations of reindeer.
There's so many problems and just challenging scenarios they throw out. I mean, yes, just encouraging of what is, I guess, a healthy Santa. He's fit, and she wants him, I don't know about if they have an insurance policy on him, she wants him to just become fat.
I think it was like body shaming, because she said nobody wants a thin Santa.
It's double body shaming. You won't be accepted if you're thin, and we need you to be fat, but you'll be called fat. Jolly old Saint Nick.
She didn't want any younger Mrs. Clauses.
Just nipping that in the bud.
Yeah, get fat, old man.
Eat, Papa, eat.
How can I eat? That silly elf song is driving me crazy.
You're going to disappoint the children. They expect a fat Santa.
So let's go back to the cave. So we meet this baby Rudolph. This
so cute.
This little buck is born, And his parents are maybe a little freaked out by this little appendage.
Well, the dad is. I think what's interesting about this movie is that the women throughout have like no say. I forget what would you call
his girlfriend.
They have no station.
They have no station. They have like no say in anything. They're pretty much as outcasts as Rudolph in some ways. In lesser ways, maybe. Stephanie's giving me the evil eye.
No, I'm not. I'm like thinking, like, well, I mean, they were not cast out of society.
They weren't cast out of society, but they were pretty much
left
minimized.
Yeah, totally.
Well, we'll simply have to overlook it.
Now, how can you overlook that? His beak blinks like a blinking beacon.
But they are the most accepting because Clarice is like, oh, I kind of like your shiny nose. I think it's cute. It's fun. Yeah. And his mother was like, no, it's fine. You know, he'll just be a kid. Let him run around and have fun.
It was the dudes that had the problem.
Giant dicks. It's the deer patriarchy.
Yeah, and Santa,
the deerarchy.
Deerarchy. Santa is like enabling this. He's created a culture of hate.
Yep.
A culture of marginalization. A culture of fear. Santa is the true villain.
Donner, you should be ashamed of yourself. What a pity. He had a nice takeoff, too.
And these are just the reindeer we're talking about. We haven't even gotten to the elves.
Oh, yeah, the elves are miserable fuckers.
Let's talk about those guys. First of all, in the version that I grew up watching, they didn't have that song. They apparently edited it out. Of viewings, like I think starting in 1965, they did some edits to the broadcast so that the elves were singing songs that, you know.
Which song? The King of Jingling? Or?
No, we are Santa's elves or whatever. I was like, I don't know this song because in the broadcasts that I watched as a kid, they were not there. They only reinstated that, like I think in the last 10 or 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Wait, so they were there and then taken out for time?
Yeah, they wanted to put more commercials in.
Interesting.
And this started in the 70s, allegedly.
Oh, wow.
And then there was another song that Rudolph and Hermey sing together that was totally different. Like, I grew up listening to the Fame and Fortune song, and in the version that I just watched that was recorded off of CBS this year,
Fame and Fortune.
They sing, "We are misfits together."
We're a couple of misfits.
Yeah, and I was like, this makes more sense than Fame and Fortune. But I'm going off
I don't
on a
remember
tangent
Fame
here.
and Fortune at all.
Was it like Grease 2 where you see them, the puppets mouthing something that's clear? It's so clear their puppet mouths are singing something else.
They are singing something
That's
else.
An F and not an S.
I can tell by that puppet.
Puppet F. Have I ever seen a puppet F?
Did you watch?
Well, I think it would be two
with Melissa
puppets
McCarthy?
effing.
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
So anyway, the elves are preparing for their concert for Santa because they have time to do this.
That's right. The concert for Santa. Which
Christmas
is 2 days away. Let's put up on a pageant.
It's a year away.
They have two jobs to do: make
that
toys and prepare for the concert.
I did not follow this timeline at
all.
all.
Yeah, well, I was paying close attention. Believe I was like, okay, so they're a year away from Christmas because that's why Mrs. Claus is like, you need to eat because you need to start getting fat.
But so if they're a year away from Christmas,
why isn't he still fat?
Why isn't he still fat from the last Christmas?
I think because he had like cool sculpting done.
Oh,
because
smart.
it's really, if you know about cool sculpting, it started in the North Pole.
Yeah,
really,
because it's cold there.
Oh, of course.
I thought she did massive collagen injections leading up because she's still harassing him about his need to gain weight like 3 days out from Christmas. Miraculously, Christmas Eve, he's just
fat.
Like, God
actually,
knows.
she just stops him up.
Just mainlines
like,
triglycerides into his body.
The thing that happened that nobody talks about is that the reason why he blew up right before Christmas is because he still thought Christmas was canceled, so he started to eat the reindeer.
And that's why he needed another reindeer to pull his frickin' sleigh. It had nothing to do with his nose. Like, I ate the reindeer. I thought Christmas was over.
You said Santa's the villain of the piece, but he definitely has his subordinates, like the head elf.
Yeah, Nazi the elf.
He looks like he is seconds away from a heart attack. He looks so high strung.
Definitely.
He was high strung. He would scream.
Hermey! What's eating you, boy?
Not happy in my work, I guess.
What?
I just don't like to make toys.
No, well, if that's all. What?
If I were to update this, I wouldn't make Hermey want to be a dentist. I'd want him to be a cardiologist, and he's going to recommend statins to his boss.
I'm going to need you on some beta blockers.
Well, I just think that we're going from one culture of intolerance right into another culture of intolerance intentionally so that we can bring these two misfits, in air quotes, together.
Yes.
But who is the common denominator in these two cultures of intolerance? Santa.
Oh,
also,
yes.
if you rearrange the letter, spells nada.
I was wondering if you get the S in there. I was like, I hope she gets the S. It's like watching someone trip on the 1 yard line.
Could it be Satan?
So poor Hermey wants to come out of the closet, but can't because of this intolerant culture. And he wants to be a
dentist
or a dancer,
a prancer,
whatever, or a costumer,
or a donner.
But there's already a
whatever see, even then there were probably not accepted roles that men could do without being assumed that you weren't a man's man. And so the writers probably were scrambling, like, there's clearly a subtext going on.
Yeah, Paul Lynn wrote Hermey.
Right. So they had to do a profession that would be just enough a disguise so people wouldn't think it was an overt. So they came up with dentist.
But it's funny because all dentists were men in 1964. Right. I mean,
we're missing somebody who would so leap in and take command of this conversation at this exact moment.
Aww, we miss you, Steve.
He's dead to us. Isn't that what we always say? Rudolph is he's vacated. He's already run away. No, we missed out on the fact that he showed off for the does and actually
Clarice
does the best. He performs the best. He can.
Yes.
She
So
thinks I'm cute.
I think you're cute.
I'm cute. I'm cute.
That's right. And what is the radio interference every time his nose glows? Like. Does he have a deviated septum or something?
It gives out an EMP when it lights up.
It's like, is someone having a lightsaber battle in his nasal passage?
This would explain why Santa did not want him on his team. If he's doing like a glitch and like wiping out like 100 square miles of electricity.
It would be great if someone earlier on, like Donna or Santa, said, "Look, Rudolph, it's not the glowing nose, it's the obnoxious sound.
It's the nails on the chalkboard that's going to freak out the other reindeer."
I really want to narrow down our conversation. Let's talk about everyone's reaction when he gets outed, like when his little nose falls off. Yeah. Fireball, he and Fireball are playing, I am Fireball. Fireball was obnoxious.
Yeah.
When they're playing and Rudolph's nose falls off, his fake nose, everybody's reaction is hilarious and sad. Fireball is like, get away from me.
For crying out loud!
Fireball, what's the matter?
Get away from me!
Yeah, like I'm going to get infected with your nose.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Maybe they were worried. This was like,
this was the
Cold
atomic
War era. Yeah.
And it is a red nose.
Yeah, it is a red
It's the height of the Cold War.
They're in the North Pole. We don't know if we're on this side of the border.
Get away from me, Commie!
And then, Comet was like,
From now on, gang, we won't let Rudolph join in any reindeer games, right?
It still is just weird to me. I can understand just general kid reindeer not wanting to have that freaky looking whatever. They think he's freaky. But to have the coach do this sort of, we like he's going to speak for the village and the community. We are not going to let him near us. You know?
And like little Clarice was like, well, I thought you were going to, because Rudolph was like, why are you talking to me still? And she's like, I thought you were going to take me home. I was like, oh, sweet.
She sings him a song, There's Always Tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow for dreams to come true.
Yeah.
Meaning like tomorrow people will be tolerant.
Highest pitched song
Tomorrow
ever.
Everyone's going to be talking about the Kardashians. Kardashians.
Well, Rudolph sounds like a juvenile, but she sounds like, like a musical theater actress in her 30s. And she sings this song that sounds, like, yeah.
I thought you were 5.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah, we're barely, potty trained in the snow, and you're sounding like Julie Andrews. And so he runs away, and then
Clarice's dad shows up and says,
Now there's one thing I want to make very plain. No doe of mine is going to be seen with a red-nosed reindeer.
Was Rudolph viewed as just like a mutant, maybe? Like it's a mutation?
I mean, Godzilla only came out how many years before? Like 5 years before? So they were probably on high alert. They were there are mutants. There's already an abominable snowman. What else is coming
I get
up?
it. No, wait. So this is
guy
actually
who can sniff out gold.
This is actually the origin of the X-Men. So Rudolph is like Magneto, and Hermey is Charles Xavier. And they meet Yukon Cornelius should have had mutton chops. So they remember they meet in the snow. He just pops. And what was Hermey doing? Just hiding in a snow drift.
I don't know what he was. Was he playing hooky, or was he
he ran away, but
he
he's
hiding.
But he's hiding in a snowdrift, literally,
maybe
fully engulfed.
He was trying to kill himself.
I think
maybe
he was exactly.
Self-suffocation in snow.
I'm just gonna freeze to death out here. No one wants a dentist.
So they both relate to their little misfit ways, and
they sing a song, one of two songs that we know of.
We're forgetting the narrator,
Burl Ives,
the snowman.
Snowman.
Yeah.
When they run away, they run away and they hear the screams of the abominable snowman. And they're it's blizzarding, and they're like, oh no! And it's becoming night, and the abominable snowman seems to see them. He's peeking over mountaintops at them, and they're terrified.
Yeah.
And then we cut to commercial, and we come back from commercial to this. And this is Burl Ives, the narrator.
Well, somehow Rudolph and Hermey managed to get through the first night.
Wait, that was it?
How?
They made this huge cliffhanger, and then there's they made it.
They're fine.
Well,
they're good.
And the
it's
snowman
morning.
is like the size of Godzilla. He's peering over a mountain. Then they cut to him at ground level, and he's 10 feet tall.
Exactly.
How could he fit? Yeah, I mean,
well,
not
there was
for
a ledge.
He's inside of Santa and the Elves' workshop at the end. We're putting the tree on, putting the star on top of the tree.
I didn't understand forced perspective, but I will say, as a child, the sound of that snow, it did scare me.
It was scary. I didn't like it. And there was also a part, just skipping ahead a little bit, Rudolph and Hermey run into Yukon Cornelius and his dogs, which I forgot about. Yukon Cornelius had a bunch of cute dogs.
They were little Beverly Hills little lap dogs.
Yeah, and they would not mush. He had to mush for them, which was adorable.
That's right. He would carry the sleigh. They're all on the back.
They're all on the back. When Rudolph decides that he can't be around them anymore, because I guess the abominable snowman, the reason why he was scaring them,
he was tailing them because of the
light.
It's Godzilla attracted to the atomic bomb. He's attracted.
They thought that Rudolph's nose was attracting him, like a moth to the flame. So Rudolph,
or really good perfume,
or like a tasty sandwich. And Rudolph was like, "Well, I got to go off on my own. I'm just gonna leave everybody." I don't know where they were. Where were they? Where were they sleeping?
They're at the North Pole.
They were.
Oh, you mean where? Literally,
Oh, was this? Did I skip?
You
the part
skipped
when
way
they,
ahead.
Oh, sorry, I skipped way ahead.
To
well,
the
let's
island.
just not. Let's talk about the island.
The island of Dr. Misfit. That was terrible. So they do meet Yukon, and I love how they show water, because it's Rankin Bass did this amazing stop motion that was pretty pioneering for its time, for television at least. And it was basically the cellophane, and they'd throw table salt, and that was the foam of the water.
Oh, really?
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I love that.
And it's really cool how the Abominable falls in, because what did they cut the puppet in half?
They must have, and then just after they meet Yukon, they go to the island and then discover that
all
they're
these
surrounded by
toys
toys.
just pop out.
Yes.
Can we talk a bit about Misfit Toys?
Yes.
First of all, they look very functional to me.
But it's not about whether or not they were working; it's whether or not people wanted them.
So they meet Charlie in the box.
Jack.
No, Charlie. That's why I'm a misfit toy. My name is all wrong. No child wants to play with a Charlie in the box, so I had to come here.
It's funny because, again, they'll cut to, the little doll.
A dolly forsooth.
The kind that will even say,
How do you do?
Yeah.
She's got this child voice, but when she sings, she sounds like a 35-year-old Broadway actress.
But what was wrong with that doll? I mean, I understand there was a problem with Charlie in the box. There was a problem with the bird that swims.
Yeah, the gun that squirts.
The doll would only give you the finger and then murder you.
She would spit up instead of drink.
I think that she was probably just like really, really a downer. Maybe that was like just we're like
she
she's
just
a
cried all
misfit.
the time.
Debbie depressing.
Yeah.
But I love the fact like there's a train with square wheels. And that I get, like, oh, that's a malfunction at the toy factory. But then there's like a bird that swims. Well, I don't understand. It's a toy
also known as a penguin.
Wouldn't that be a selling point? Like, we have a bird, but it actually swims. Like, that would actually sell.
It does both because when at the end they're doing the credits and they throw the bird, you know, like the bird flies. He gives umbrellas to everyone to go, but the bird flies. And I'm thinking, so he does both. He can swim and he can fly. So why was he thinking he couldn't fly? It was just a really
The writers seemed a little challenged to find misfit toys, like the cowboy riding in an ostrich.
Yeah.
That's just a little esoteric.
I'm going to be talking about the doll one more time because I have another go on it. What was the deal with the doll? I think maybe she was just a raging bitch.
I'm leaving that all in, as is.
I just love you're so proud of it.
I just thought that was a better go.
There was the water pistol that shoots jelly.
Yeah. That Rudolph immediately licks off of Hermey's face. I love that little bit.
Oh, cute.
Did Elves make these toys? Which, also, if Elves made these toys, only a dumbass elf would make these dumbass toys, and that would be Hermey. And they should all rage against Hermey. They should have seen him and been like, you're the reason.
To me.
Or they're all like Frankenstein's monster. They're reunited with their creator. They swarm him. That would be fun.
They swarm it and tear him apart.
I love it. You did.
You made me a Charlie in the Box. You weren't paying any attention.
I would have had round wheels.
Charlie in the Box just go to a judge and say, look, I want to change my name to Jack.
Yeah, I mean, that's easy to do. And the
We're
elephant's
gonna light you on fire.
The elephant's like, I am polka dotted. This is my skin. I cannot change.
I thought the elephant had like the pox. He was like diseased. Like, he was
I think he just had purple polka dots.
Disease offense.
So they go. They're led to King Moonracer, and he's basically like Oz.
So how do you spell that name? Like, I get King and Moon. What's the last one? Racer?
Just like the moon racer goes.
Something in his land of gold.
Or I kept spelling it as Razor.
Moonracer.
Yeah.
But he's a lion, right? He's a
he's a griffin.
He's a griffin, right. And he has the same voice as Santa.
No, that would not be possible. This island is for toys alone.
So he basically says that no, you can't stay here because it's only for toys, but I'll give you a night.
Yeah, he's like, this is fine. I mean, I'm sorry that you guys got stuck here. I want you both to understand I want all three of you to understand what the situation is here. I go around and pick up these toys that kids have abandoned. So I'm the good guy here. You guys are freeloaders. Yeah, you get a night.
But he's terrible at his job because he doesn't get them to go. He just keeps them in the aisle. Like if he was a really
better
good
than having them be thrown away or burned.
Yeah.
Or burned. Jeez.
You know, has somebody done a mashup where like they cut to like Andy's toys, like, you know, Woody and Buzz? Like, has somebody done that kind of a sketch?
In the movie, they say a toy is never truly happy until it's loved by a child. And I thought, oh, Pixar was watching this.
Aww.
And they were like, the whole thematic of Toy Story
is this like
right
a prequel?
there on Misfit
Is this like an origin
Island.
story for Toy Story?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
You watch them in episode order, not chronological order.
So, yeah, Moonracer is then like, yeah, you guys can stick around here. And then he calls for the concierge or whatever, and it's the elephant. And I'm like, why is he
He's
making...
got a bellhop.
It's like, so at least he's giving them things to do on the island. Everyone
He's giving
has a
them
role.
worth.
Yeah.
Or making them earn their keep.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think King Moonracer has a racket.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, no one likes these fuckers. Come over to my island, do my bidding, and you can live here.
He's got a casino.
Yes.
It's just running. It's 24/7, and he's like, we're gonna baccarat. We're gonna have craps.
At what point does he make the request? If you see Santa, please let him know about our toys,
our homeless toys.
Yeah. So he does ask that of him, but then here I love they go to this little cottage where like, well, let's all get up. We're gonna have a big adventure tomorrow. Let's get some rest. And they fall asleep in like half a second. and immediately starts
all in
snoring.
one bed
Yeah.
or all.
And then Rudolph.
It's not a hotel, you guys.
Yeah.
They are in Moonracer's house.
Well, and it's like it's made for toys. It's
They're
very tight,
lucky.
tight
They're
quarters.
lucky. Yeah, but they're lucky. Most of that castle is all just like hallways.
So Rudolph realizes that he's still a threat to them, so he leaves. Doesn't shut the door, by the way. It's like literally 30 below.
What are you talking
And he doesn't shut the door after he leaves the cabin. He leaves them to freeze to death. I hate that in movies where like they run out of the car to go in the house, but they don't shut the door. Anyway,
They're magical creatures.
You know John is a dad because he is so disturbed by a door being left open.
Letting all the heat out.
Yeah.
So Rudolph leaves because he's like, I cannot, like, he hears the yeah, and it was really
the Abominable
terrifying.
Snowman, and he's like, oh, it's my freaking red nose. I gotta leave these people so they don't die
And so
because
he-
of me.
Yeah, and he hops on a little ice floe and goes out. And this is the part that I always remember as a kid because he's like, well, goodbye, everyone. He's by himself, and he's on his little ice floe, and he's going out into the wild beyond or whatever. And then you hear the screaming of the...
Whatever a dentist is, I hope someday that you're the greatest.
It's really scary to me because it was like a cliffhanger. Like, Rudolph is going off into the wilderness alone.
After the first cliffhanger, you expect Burl Ives just to come in and, well, he made it across the ocean.
Didn't he come back and start singing about silver and gold decorations
Yeah.
on a Christmas tree?
These little forest animals joining him. But then they come back from commercial. Well, lots happened, including puberty.
Oh, that's right. That's
Rudolph
right.
grew up.
Then we have the shortened Lion King.
Right, or Bambi.
Or Bambi, where he's like, wow, I've gone through puberty and I've realized I have to go back and clean up my mess.
Mm-hmm. He's
Yeah.
got to
He's
set
got antlers
things
now and
right.
other things.
Yes.
And so he goes back to the North Pole Village, and he's like, what did they call that? Like, it's
They're all gone, Rudolph.
It's a Bildungsroman.
Yeah.
Coming of age story.
They all went looking for you. I'm like,
yeah.
basically,
and can we just
they're
say,
flipping the guilt back on him as if it's
Right.
his fault.
and it's like, how is he supposed to know that, Santa? Like, I mean, what are you doing in my house?
Why do you think I left in the first place?
Why are my mom's underwear in your beard? You're freaking me out, Santa.
Rudolph's dad left and literally told Rudolph's mom and Clarice, like, you women stay here. This is men's work. And he went off to go find Rudolph, which unsuccessful, right? And then, but Clarice and Rudolph's mom were like, well, F that. We're not going to just stick around. So
I'm
they left
confused
too.
to the time frame because that sounds like that the ladies have been gone for months, and then Dad maybe just left. But
no, Dad left first.
But they end up in the Abominable's cave. How long were they there?
They were there for because
Couple hours?
Animals grow up really fast.
Well,
Remember, we're only like 2 Christmases. We're only like 1
Yes,
year.
this is-
It's
yes.
1 year. We're between Christmases.
But when they do find, can I jump ahead to the cave?
Yes, please do.
They literally show up at the moment that he's about to
eat Clarice.
Like literally like a second later, and there'd be like little hooves hanging out of his mouth, and he's spitting out antlers.
It was perfect timing.
This is where it gets so like just like horror film now. We're getting into like hostile Eli Roth territory because Yukon's plan with Hermes.
Because they also
Hermes.
appear at the right time too. Everybody shows up at this one location.
But
at the
you know what
same
their plan
time.
is Hermey is to pretend to be a pig, oink, oink, oink.
Oh, God.
To distract. And then what is their ultimate goal?
To
Pull out
all the teeth of the bumble.
But was that the plan? Did they go, okay, here's the plan? Or did that just kind of happen?
I think that, it had to...
They whisper to each other.
Yeah.
You do this.
Because the idea was to throw the thing on him so that it lure him out. Yukon would throw a boulder on him, knock him out, and then Hermey would pull out his teeth.
That is dark.
Yeah.
That is really, really dark.
But it worked. And now
Good
they
point.
don't have to worry anymore about being eaten.
But they show the pile of the teeth, and my adult brain goes to like there'd be so much blood and viscera.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the let alone the fact that the boulder would have probably killed him.
But you're forgetting
the smell would be.
Hermey is a good dentist. So he got the teeth out, he stitched it all up.
Right. Basically, at that point, Yukon says, he's nothing without his choppers, and he tackles him, and the dogs jump on him. They fall off a cliff.
Yeah,
It's
which
really
was,
dark.
It was like, but he wasn't. It was all Yukon's fault. He didn't like. They weren't fighting. He just jumped on him and pushed him over.
It's like a vendetta he's settling.
But this leads to one of my favorite quotes in the movie, and it's so awesome because a lot of things in this movie is very much like my mother, which is, well, I guess that's the way it is. Like, Burl Ives says that a couple of times, enough for me to go, oh, I've heard this before, and it's very, like, Silent Generation.
Yeah, it was of the time. That's the way people...
And so, after that happens, they go, I think it's Burl. Yeah, Burl Ives goes, well, they're all very sad at the loss of their friend, but they realize the best thing to do is to get... let me...
Yeah, start over.
Well... They were all very sad at the loss of their friend, but they realized the best thing to do is to get the women back to Christmas Town. It was like, wait, what?
We just lost our friend. Friend to us, because the reindeer don't know Yukon and Hermey. But we got to get these ladies back.
Yeah, I mean, they're delicate sensibilities.
It's like happy hours at 5 and, honeymooners is at 8. We got to get back.
Not even really understanding the fact that Rudolph's mom and Clarice both managed to navigate through North Pole on their own together and ended up finding out exactly where Donner ended up. I mean, it's like they're not helpless. Like they were fine.
Yeah. So they get home. Everybody's still kind of making fun of Rudolph, but Rudolph's a little older. He's like, you know what? Fuck you. You just see it on his face. Like, you know what? I'm a teenager now, and I don't care about your opinion.
Yeah. He's like, I just fought an abominable snowman, because he really did fight him before his friends showed up, but then he got knocked out.
Well,
but it was okay.
The storm rolled in. I think they show up during the storm.
Yeah.
Well, Christmas is canceled.
Yeah. Christmas is canceled before they show up.
Better start eating the reindeer.
Yeah. So Christmas is canceled, but is Santa fat or is he still skinny?
He's still skinny.
Because
he's gonna start.
He bloats up like in an hour.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you how that happened. Venison has a lot of sodium if prepared the right way.
Deer jerky.
So
doe milk.
So wait, I can't remember if does the Abominable and Yukon come back to life and show up before or after they've decided the nose. I think they show up first.
Yeah, I think they show up first, and they're like,
he squeezes him. This giant abominable snowman that would just terrorize the elves. He shows
Everybody
up,
was screaming.
Yeah, but I've given him a job, and he puts a star. He is mentally kind of like a 2-year-old, right?
Who the Abominable Snowman or Cornelius? Because they're both a little.
I think he's
like Cornelius.
Is he like Lenny from Of Mice and Men?
I think he's a little simple.
Yes,
yeah.
he's simple. So he puts the star on. They're like, oh, we could use him once a year.
Yeah, I mean, all he does is put the
a
star.
job that only has a task once a year.
During the next song montage, they show like 5 elves all on each other's shoulders to put mistletoe up. And it's like, why not get the Abominable Snowman to put up that mistletoe?
Give him 2 jobs now.
And why is it up so high? Like, I mean, just put it down. Nobody in this house is that tall. So why? There were a lot of questions.
If the Abominable Snowman had his teeth, he could tell them the story of how Santa destroyed his family and took over his house. Killed everyone in his family and took his house. You know why these ceilings are so high? Because my family built this. This is for us.
That's why he hates Christmas.
That's why he hates Christmas. Exactly. It all goes back.
What I never really understood, and I still don't understand, is it preventing Santa from seeing in the snow? Like, what exactly is the benefit of a big red nose?
I guess so that they could see if they're going to fly into a mountain.
Maybe that's what it was. It was like, okay, Rudolph, you're the sacrificial first. You're first in line.
God.
Rudolph,
okay, I'm going to tell you it's because we can see because of your nose, but that's not true.
Rudolph is.
I'm hoping you die tonight.
Rudolph's the guy. He's the guy in the crow's nest. He's young Grafud or whatever his name is from Titanic.
No, he wasn't
Iceberg, right ahead.
That wasn't him. I remember exactly what Sir Yoan did.
Yoan?
And he did not.
Yoan's the guy at the end that's looking for him.
Hello, is anybody out there?
Right, he's looking at the bodies in the ice water. So Rudolph, with your nose so bright, he has this weird, like, you are the reason that for the misfortune of this kid's childhood and for them all being in peril. And
He's the worst.
He doesn't apologize.
He just never says we're sorry. Didn't he say something like...
No, I wrote it down because it's so amazing. He said, I knew that nose would be useful someday. I knew it all along.
Wow.
Way to gaslamp them.
Wow.
Gaslamp?
No,
Gaslamp.
Santa doesn't say that.
them.
I think Donner says that.
It's really gaslamp, and you're just trying to convince me it's gaslight. Way to go.
Are you mansplaining? I mean,
I'm manscaping.
Santa is on one. Like, I do not understand how he went around talking about how it was his idea when we were all, as if we don't have eyes and ears, and we can't see that this motherfucker is abusive and,
It takes advantage of the deer.
Sexist, racist, speciesist.
He is. Elves is a completely different
Toyist.
Toyist.
Because he,
Oh, and then, so okay, so here's the thing that happens after Rudolph's like, sure, Santa, I'll guide your sleigh. They leave, and then they go to...
the island of Misfit Toys and gather up all the Misfit Toys.
Yay!
And then Santa Claus just indiscriminately throws them overboard. From like 2,000 feet in the air. Just, there you go.
Well,
hope you land somewhere.
The elf gives them umbrellas.
Well, yeah.
We have to presume
you want their
that
death
they're
to be
flying
slow
over...
and torturous.
Except for that fish bird. Because the fish
that
bird was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to fly down.
I'm just going to fly down.
But then he's going to forget how to fly? Is that what's going to happen?
So this came out, I'm sure it was a big hit and just established Rankin Bass, and then became the expanded universe because there was they went into, you didn't see a lot until the 70s. That's where they really kicked it in, and they had like Santa Claus is coming to town with red buttons and you know and
I love
Fred
Santa
Astaire
Claus.
was
No.
announced. Yeah.
Wait, is this Rudolph? Is this Rudolph?
Well, Mickey Rooney was the voice of Kris Kringle, and they kept him as Santa in the Rudolph spinoff, Rudolph's Shiny New Year, with the baby Happy with the ears.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was Rudolph's Christmas in July, and then years later there was this terrible 90s bad CGI Rudolph sequel.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, in the original airings, I researched this. They said that the first airing of Rudolph was 1964, and the second, they did it yearly after that. They made all those changes that I mentioned before about the songs the following year in 1965. They also had to change the ending because originally, after Rudolph joins Santa's sleigh team, they take off and leave, and Burl Ives is like, well, that's the end of the story. And then they never showed Santa going to the island of Misfit Toys.
That was an ad? They added that?
Yeah.
But Rudolph promised we'd go this time.
Oh, guess the storm was too much for them.
Wow.
So they went back and had to they animated another scene where they come and pick up all the toys, and then they pushed them off the sleigh after that.
Because there were so many children just still crying at the end of the show, going to
People
bed
were,
inconsolable.
Upset. They were like, so Santa didn't honor his promise, and neither did Rudolph, because they were like, we promise we'll go back. Rudolph said, like, we'll promise we'll come back and help you. I'll make sure to tell Santa that you're here so that he knows to come get you. He
so the song needs to be amended too. It should be, they'll go down in history after they rescue the toys.
Yeah.
Well, they're not mentioned in the song, so.
No.
That was probably why they were like, but could you imagine, like if you're a kid and you're watching, you're like, wait a minute, what about the toys?
I think that's one aware kid.
Yeah. I mean, it was the 60s. All those kids are going to grow up to be hippies.
It's true. So, shall we rate this one?
Yes. So our rating system is from the top to the bottom here. The best rating we have.
From the top to the bottom we go.
Oh Holy Night means this is a must-watch every Christmas. That is our top Cinema Craptaculus rating. The middle one will be I'll Be Home for Christmas. If it's on, you'll watch it if you're at home. And then the bottom ranking we have is Away in the Manger. That's utter crap. You can go back to the island of Misfit Toys, you dirty Christmas special. So what would you rank this, John?
I'm going to give it Oh Holy Night asterisk.
Oh, wow.
Meaning, yes, it is a must-watch every Christmas, as long as you can understand the filter by which it must be viewed. Of the period of time of Mad Men and alcoholism and smoking and a lot of other intolerance.
Doctors were smoking.
Yes.
Women weren't encouraged to drive.
Honestly, it's
Marlboro Light is the best cigarette for you.
That was Burl Ives in doing the actual interstitial. It's funny you bring up being a parent. I am very sensitive to this, and it is a parallel to also watching Charlie Brown Christmas, the bullying. Seriously, you watch these shows that they didn't even call it bullying back then. You know, if Charlie Brown Christmas is its own podcast, because that is like crazy bullying.
Well, it's also depression.
Yes, and
But
psychology.
They are dancing up a storm.
Yeah.
Or at least doing 2 steps.
So, yes.
And a loop.
So, of course, I recommend this. It's great, but you got to just, if you're watching with kids particularly, see how they react. I don't think you need to just launch into a post-show discussion as a family, but maybe I think talking about the themes might help.
Like, don't trust Santa.
Yep.
That bitch crazy. I would rate it as I'll be home for Christmas. If it's on, I'll watch it. I grew up watching it all the time. If I were younger, I would have said Oh Holy Night, definitely a must watch. I've obviously have gone many a Christmas not watching it, but it is one of my favorites. And if it's on, I'll sit down and I'll watch it. It's good.
I don't know. I'm torn. I'm somewhere between Oh Holy Night and I'll Be Home for Christmas, because does it hold up? I mean, it's Baby It's Cold Outside. We completely rewrote that one.
Yikes.
Why aren't we rewriting this one?
Yikes. That is a dark turn.
But it is a Christmas classic, and I did enjoy sitting down and watching it again, even though I've seen it probably 30 times.
Yeah.
I think it also sticks around because of nostalgia, and I think CBS, is it CBS, will run it because it is an institution now, warts and all.
Yeah.
As is The Wizard of Oz and Sound of Music and 10 Commandments and all. There's just certain... It's almost like pop culture and the studios and networks have chosen certain films and shows that we know they're problematic in the 21st century, but we're going to keep them anyway.
Overall, I think the lesson of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is that acceptance is tantamount. Like, you have to have diversity. You have to have people who are different to make your teams work.
That's probably why it still holds up a little bit, because the lesson is acceptance.
Yeah.
It's not...
You know what, though?
And Santa's always right.
It is.
Santa's always...
So there's a meme right now of it's A Christmas Carol Scrooge. It says, A Christmas Carol is a story about how the wealthy have to be terrorized into sharing. And it's true. And this is kind of like that. Like, disaster terrorizes people into tolerance.
That's true. Yeah. Like if we were attacked by aliens.
The only reason we're welcoming you back, Rudolph, is because you can save our butts.
Yeah.
He saves Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, Santa really was a tool in this.
I would like to amend some of Rudolph's demands. Like, it's like, okay, so Donner, he's out.
Out.
You know what?
My dad, screw him. Wait, are you talking about these are Rudolph's demands?
Rudolph's
my
demands.
dad, screw him.
Okay, if I'm going to be leading the sleigh tonight, this is what I'm going to do. Donner's out.
Fireball. That little fucker.
He's going to fireball him.
He's going to be the concierge on the island of Misfit Toys permanently.
Maybe someone recognized Santa's behavior and said, we need to rehabilitate his image, because the follow-up, Santa Claus is coming to town, Kris Kringle's basically a saint, and he's very accepting of everybody.
You mean Saint Nicholas?
Yes. So maybe someone said, that Rudolph thing we did 10 years ago, Santa's horrible. It's 1971 or wherever. We should redo him. He's canceled. Let's reboot him.
Well, thanks for joining us on our Cinema Craptaculus Christmas journey. This is Stephanie, and ever present with me are
Dave,
John,
and John. And remember, a bad Christmas special is just as hard to make as a good one. It's just a lot easier to make fun of.
Gee, what song should we go out on? Could there be a song?
Oh, I got one. Frosty the Snow... What? No?
Thanks again for listening to this special holiday episode of Cinema Craptaculus. If you weren't totally offended, then clearly you didn't listen to any of it. Anyway, please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @Craptaculus. And to listen to new and previous episodes starring Dave, Stephanie, Steve, John, and our amazing special guests, please subscribe to our iTunes podcasts, and you can find us at Spotify. Also, you can see and hear more of our content at cinemacraptaculus.com.